Welcome. Thank you for joining Michael's Adventures. Thanks for being here. Jewel in the kitchen, thank you for coming in. We made it. Again, I think we're on day 6, right? The idea, of course, is that we're just walking every day, but hopefully for an hour. And we'll likely keep this up as a permanent idea in some way or another. The winter months we'll be using the treadmill more often than not, taking the chance on bad weather and rain. For some reason the temperature's gone up this week. We're at 5 or 6 or 7 degrees Celsius most days. I forget exactly the calculation, but I think you double it and add 32 to make Fahrenheit. And there's a possibility of rain for that reason. But we're literally just walking, not going too crazy or anything like that. A few weeks from now we'll step things up and should be at a point where we're really accomplishing something. But for now, walking is an improvement. John H. Shelton from the UK, thank you for coming in. I wonder if I made the mistake the last day or two of putting the treadmill too fast to start with. Start breaking a sweat. I'm not even walking that fast, barely doing more than 2 kilometers an hour. But within the coming days, as I step things up, I'll expect to get to over 10,000 steps a day just from this. And then maybe even one day we'll get close to 20. We'll see. Michael's Adventures knows what it's like to do that on a daily basis. But it's got to be an improvement. I keep forgetting to mention this, but one thing I can tell you, just out of these days, and I skip Fridays because I don't have a way to get this done yet. I'm working on a way, and I'll look into it. If not, 6 days a week I'll have to do. I'm sure it'll be fine. And thank you for the shares, John H. Shelton, Scratch and PPA. Thanks for coming in. Hopefully you're feeling better, and hopefully everybody's New Year's off to a good start. But I keep forgetting to mention, so, as anybody gets older, something like back pain is something that I think is extremely common. And in the winter months, I sit so much, I find that sitting gives me a little bit of back pain, more so than walking or any kind of exercise or work or anything like that. So I have usually got a little bit of back pain. I wouldn't say it's doesn't even interfere with life most often. Most days I don't have to bother taking Advil or anything like that for it. But I can tell you that it improved right away after even the 3rd day. So I don't feel that. And I wonder, that was one of the hopes of this in the first place, is just the simple 1 hour of any kind of exercise at all, even though it's light, would be an improvement. But it's good to know that it already has. So hopefully, for anybody that's thinking about whether an hour of walking a day is actually going to be worth it, hopefully it can be motivating in the smallest way. Experienced Africans, good to see you here. Thanks for coming in. And then it's good to know that Scratch and PPA's on the way up. Last year at this time, my whole family got the thing and we all felt sick, and it was horrible. We dropped like dominoes. So I got sick literally after dinner on New Year's Eve, and then other members of my family started to go one by one over the next couple of days, and we felt that it was an awful 24 to 48 hours, but right back to 90-95% after that, and then an improvement of about 1% a day until a week or a week and a half later it was gone. But yeah, it's weird how much of that goes on. Right now in our area, Scratch and PPA is only a few hours away from me, and where we are, we're in this warm front or whatever they call that, where the temperature's gone up. We did have blistering snowstorms a couple of times, and we got down to the typical freezing weather. we're right back up to, I was out with a t-shirt the other day, and those drastic temperature changes can really wreak havoc on people, myself included. I'm sensitive to everything, allergic to everything and everything else. But hopefully everybody's doing okay. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas holiday. In Canada, our students are all off of school for an extra week just because of the way the calendar fell. So I know a lot of people are still experiencing holidays for a while. And I took a couple of days here to spend some family time and much needed rest. Looking forward to picking things back up to 100% in work mode starting tonight and tomorrow. Gloria's Platter, good to see you here. Thank you for coming in. I still haven't picked up the pace in the last few days on the treadmill. I might try. I don't really want to be breaking a sweat and out of breath the whole time we're here. I know that after a couple of weeks it won't be an issue anymore. Rosalie Green Blogs, good to see you here. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for watching those ads. I forget to mention that all the time. I do appreciate it, of course. It always helps. On the other channel, Tuber Chat, I took the ads off, and that's just because we've got enough members and super chatters and things like that I'd rather everybody get in there faster, but they're here, so thank you for that. Every little bit matters, of course, we all know that. Rosalie Green Blogs, yeah, sometimes they can last a while. I had put YouTube on the television last night for a few minutes. I don't usually watch it on television while I'm at home, and I didn't sign in, so you see ads on the couple things that you watch, but we're really lucky because all of the ads that we saw last night seemed to only be about 5 seconds. But I know that they can get pretty long. How many steps today? It seems that I'm hitting somewhere between 7, 8, almost 9,000 from the treadmill every day. So I'm gonna pump it up to, it's at, I say pump it up, it's at 2.2 kilometers right this second. I'll put it up to 2.3 in a moment. I haven't passed that during these sessions yet, and yesterday I was breaking a sweat. You saw me with the towel. I don't know why. It's hard to believe I'm that out of shape. Like, that's the whole reason I'm doing this, but it's kind of overwhelming to think of that. As the weeks go on though, it'll get much easier, and I'll step things up so that it's actually accomplishing something, and then I won't be so out of breath and breaking a sweat and everything. But I can't remember for the life of me when I've done this before if I got up to 3.5 or even maybe 4 kilometers an hour, or miles an hour. I'm not sure if that makes sense though. I keep forgetting it's miles an hour. But 4 might be extreme. I feel like I did that once, but I might be mistaken. So we'll call it 3.5, because I know I can do that. I typically walk fast all the time when I'm outdoors. I was hoping to be outdoors, but I can't bet that it's not going to rain all over the camera. Serenity Studio Art, good to see you here. Thank you, John H. Shelton. Yeah, many years ago, many months ago, the doctor said I should walk an hour a day. So it's taken this long to get going, but I'm literally just walking an hour a day. We know it will be beneficial after many months, so we'll just try to keep at it. I gotta try to keep on top of these robots too. So Bottissimo's in the house. Nightbot's doing what it's supposed to. Everybody can drop their link if you want to. Here, you know I don't do that on Tuber Chat, but here it'll work if you want to do that. Of course, it's more benefit to everybody else if you search, find, and click on their name. But there's an example. Yeah, Gloria's Platter. A lot of, it's a big time of year for cookies and baked stuff and chocolate and all that, and I'm definitely a fan of chocolate. I always eat an unreasonable amount of it, but at Christmas I always get showered with lots of that. Yeah, Experience Africans, if you just put the word link, it should work. With the exclamation mark the way that I just did. Here, I'll do it, I'll show you again. So it's exclamation mark L-I-N-K. This is the same way that we did with the copyright free music channel. Lots of people have this on their channels, and you could change that word if you want to put that in your live streams. Now the truth is, even though I'm talking about that, I believe that less people go to a link when you drop it than you think. But I've been told many times that I am probably wrong about that, and that's fine, doesn't matter. So we don't do it in Tuber Chat, but you're free to do it here if you want to. Again, you're always doing a service for everybody if you search, find, and click on them instead. Oh, yes, Gloria's Platter, that makes sense. Kristen does a lot of baking. I try to not bother her about it too much until I know she's given away all that she plans to give away, and then get at them after. But she's always got something going around here. Junkyard Gamer, good to see you in the house. Gloria's Platter, it's a nice way to look at it. The guinea pigs, maybe. Knockers, good to see you in the house. Yes, I look slimmer. I should put a Instagram filter on, like a lot of the people do. You see a lot of the girls put these filters on. Their makeup is unbelievable, and then their chins turn into little pointy things. I don't think any filter of any kind is going to help me now, but wait until I lose. I probably have to lose 40 pounds minimum to be in any way considered in a healthy way, but we'll see. It'll take a while, but the goal is not to do it by the summer, not to do it by April, not to do it by October. The goal is that next year at this time I will feel better. Yes, it's true, Knockers. And Kid Wonder, thank you for coming in. He's been a friend here on YouTube for over 3 years. Yeah, actually, well, I'm not doing water right this second. I got a Gatorade beside me. But I'm hoping to get into starting to drink more water, and maybe one of these days I'll get off the Monsters too. Not today, but someday. You know, I've been drinking 2 of those a day, more often than not, for a long while now. And part of the reason I'm here to do this and just walk an hour a day is to finally get better sleep and more energy in the day, so that I don't feel like taking a nap, or you know, to boost the productivity, right? We only get a certain amount of time in the day. It'd be nice to maximize our time. Doesn't have to be work, you know what I mean? Gloria's Platter. Oh, anything's possible, but I'm using, my guess would be that part of that is the light. It can't be, it's only been a couple of days. I do appreciate the kind words from everybody, but, and you know, anything's possible. I'm not saying I'm right, but you know, I'm in different places every day. The lighting is different, and that might have something to do with it, right? But I'm also farther away from the camera, right? When I come in really close to the camera, it's different. I don't know how shaky it is. Hopefully it's not too bad. Today's a big day. I'm going to do a couple more family things. Got some errands to run, but I will arrive where I work tonight, ordering a table that's a special one that I really like. I've wanted it for a long time, to put together an unboxing and review area in the place that I work. We painted the wall the other day, and it should up the production value of things, and I'm hoping that that will be the motivation necessary to start doing a lot of review videos. So I'm going to pack up some unopened vinyl records that I got with me, take the Stream Deck, the new Razer Kaye. Kristen got me a second Razer Kaye for Christmas, which is the same one that I use all the time. When you see me on Tuber Chat, I'm usually using that webcam. It's got a ring light and a microphone built in. But she got me another one so that I can keep one at work and keep one at home, not have to move them around, right? Whenever you hear me whine and complain that things aren't working, it's usually for moving things around all the time. Oh yeah, that makes sense, Gloria's Platter. Pushing cars before I know it. Anything's possible, Junkyard Gamer. Anything is possible. And then yeah, so it's not quite a studio experience, Africans, but where I work, so I work with a guy, and in the good weather months we go out in the outdoors and we're doing concrete and asphalt and painting lines in the road and contracting and painting and all kinds of stuff. But half of my job for him and for others is to run social media, so YouTube channels and things like that. So all we did is clear an area in the house to have one, I think it's a 10-foot wall with nothing in front of it. So the area is unused. And actually, maybe someday I'll show it, but it's in the kitchen, because in his place, we don't use the kitchen the way a lot of people usually would. So yeah, we cook there and prepare our food there, but we don't use a little like kitchenette dining table to sit and eat at. We just take our food wherever we feel like eating, or often in the living room and watch YouTube on the TV while we eat, or something like that when I'm there. So that area I used to work in, and I moved my stuff into the basement and kind of spread it out. I put a new system together, and I will show that soon enough. But I've got, you know, monitors, and I use a laptop instead of a desktop now, and all this. And so this kitchen area just has this wall with nothing on it, right? No windows and stuff. You'll see what I mean when I start making videos, but it'll be any minute, literally. I hope to even maybe film a video tomorrow, but something this week. If I'm really ambitious, I might even get something on by the weekend. Can't hide that from you. And that's great, Gloria's Platter. Yeah, it's interesting to think that you can lose weight. So like the way that my doctor explained it, he's okay. And I've been using the same doctor for many years now, just a family doctor. And he just said, look, you got to start walking. He goes, we're made to walk, man. Just walk an hour a day, and in 6 months you'll see a difference. So that's really all it's about. Now, I expect to step things up and do much more, but I also don't want to say I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and not fulfill promises. So we'll just take it easy. Literally, we're here just to walk an hour a day. And as time goes on, we'll move things up. Hopefully I'll start eating better, and I'll talk about that as it goes on. I do. Junkyard Gamer asked me how many times I've spilled a drink into my keyboard or other things. It's happened more than once. See, that's a good meal. I'm very lucky because I like most typical things. Of course, I live in North America, so for the most part it's North American food, but you know, stuff like, you know, anything, chicken, beef, even pork or salmon and stuff like that. Like, there's not much that I don't like. So vegetables, you know, don't bother me. I'll eat them fine, salads and things like that. Just, I haven't been concerned with diet at all for a long time. Not to mention, like I said, I shovel so much chocolate into my gullet, you'd be shocked. Oh, my nephew just happened to come for the weekend. He just happens to be in the room while I'm here. It makes sense, Junkyard Gamer. Yeah. See, I haven't weighed yet. I don't know how much I'm concerned with that, because this is not about weight loss. It's not about, well, I weigh, let's say 245 right now and I want to weigh 235. It's not about that at all. The idea is that hopefully this is a permanent lifestyle change. So we'll see, right? Time will tell. Then the weighing and stuff won't matter. I might be upset afterwards that I didn't do before and after photos and all that, but I don't like the before photos, so I might not concern myself with it. Oh, that's interesting, Gloria's Platter. I have an extra phone. Experience Africans. So most of us by now, like iPhones and Android phones, have been out for, I forget if it must be 15 years, right? We're on iPhone 15 now, almost 14 or 15 years, whatever it is. So most people have more than one phone, and if you're lucky enough not to have smashed the old phone you were using, you could use that probably to stream. So I got an extra phone last year for streaming. So I have an iPhone 12 mini that I use to stream. The reason why it's a mini is, first of all, cost savings, but it fits in the gimbal and doesn't put hardcore pressure on the motors. The gimbal is the thing that we carry around. I don't have it beside me, that keeps the phone straight while you walk around and stuff. You've likely seen me with it, or will. Pardon me. But I use the iPhone 12 mini to stream. Anybody could use any older phone, especially if you have Wi-Fi at home or wherever you are. And then I read the comments on my iPhone 11, which is the phone I use all the time. You can, on certain apps, you can bump up the text on the screen. Streamlabs, I don't know how often or how long ago they had that feature, pardon me, but I can almost read the text. The only thing is that I need glasses. I'm farsighted, so to read things in front of me I need glasses. And I don't wear them while I'm doing this. Exactly, Jewel in the Kitchen. That's exactly why I'm streaming. I have a really hard time doing one thing at a time. It makes me feel like I'm wasting my time, even though it's not. But it just feels that way, right? So it doesn't matter whether that's the motivation to do this every day, but it's already worked. because Saturday, I think it was, we went through a disaster trying to get this thing started, and still managed to do it because I didn't want to miss the stream more than even the treadmill. So it doesn't matter. Whatever gets you to do it, I guess, right? Kristen Walton, my love, is in the house. We're expecting for her to start doing a lot more videos now as well. By the end of this month, we should be on schedule to have videos every week on every channel. Don McDougall's, not that I can think of. The name's not ringing a bell right this second. Unless it's been a while and I might be mistaken. But thank you for coming in. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave the treadmill today at 2.3 again. I was hoping to progress a little bit more, but I'll leave it where it is. And maybe tomorrow I'll have to be at a gym. We'll step it up there. Maybe. And then thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Junkyard Gamer. Oh, Don McDougall's. A lot of people found me a year ago for the Freedom Convoy in February, because I live in Niagara Falls, Canada, which is only about 6 hours away from Ottawa. So I went there to do a lot of filming. But I've been on for a few years, so anything's possible. Okay, thank you, Experienced Africans, and It's Our Abundant Life. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, the Freedom Convoy was an interesting thing because I went there to film, and like for anybody that remembers it, or if you haven't seen it and wanted to go look, you'd see that I typically will say, you know, I'm only here to film, I'm not taking sides and this and that, which for the most part is true. I really was there for YouTube, but a lot of the stuff is still there, and it resulted in explosive growth. So I was only able to be there like 3 days a week. I kept going back, but there's other streamers that were there and gained like well over 100,000 subscribers just from that. Even I gained close to 8,000. Now, after all the bots and fake accounts and everything else are slowly being taken away, we're back down under 8,400 now, but it still resulted in some explosive growth. And you know, that content is probably very much unrelated to what I'm going to keep doing, but I did mention while we were there what to expect on this channel, so that hopefully anybody that wanted to stay would be very clear about what was upcoming, as opposed to you know, I'm not posting news every day or anything like that. Yeah, it was interesting, Experience Africans. And then Ping Vlogs, good to see you here. Thank you for coming in. It was pretty wild to see that. Some creators were getting much more, but I was very lucky to be in a position where it was, we're able to handle it. And there's Nate Vlog. For those of you who don't already know Nate Vlog, he's been connected to us from the beginning. He is one of the very first people that I connected to that was the inspiration for the beginning of the other channel. Nate Vlog's been here ever since, and whether you follow me or my friend Jeff Lepard that I work so closely with, you'll see Nate Vlog continuing to support long after 3 years. And there you go, yes, Don McDougall's. In the long term for sure. But I have been on social media from the beginning. I was enthused. I know that may sound ridiculous to hear now, but when in the old days of CompuServe and AOL, I had both. And when MySpace came up, I was decent on there, and then Facebook, I was not the first, but early enough, and all the other networks and stuff like that. YouTube I landed on about 5.5 years ago, but I've put myself in a position, I'd like to think I'm honest, as honest as anybody can be, but the history's all there anyway. So when I have to deal with anything that comes up as far as negativity or questioning, I'm like, if you want to waste your time going to look, it's all there. So I am in a good position for that, in my opinion. But it's a good point that you make, Don. And then thank you, Experience Africans. Anthony, thank you very much. Yeah, when Lydia Stratus and we used to work at Z103 in Toronto together, and we've always been close friends. And the idea of being able to do something that we didn't have to hear from anybody else about, meaning there's nobody to say no. We could do whatever we want. We finally got a chance to do a house music radio show because we just did it as a podcast. That's what Anthony's talking about. So thank you for that. It feels good to know that some of the work you put out in the world gets noticed, right? Or enjoyed or appreciated. Perhaps I will do something else, but I do have another channel now called Thrive Together, and it's likely featured on my front page or somewhere on the front of my YouTube channel. So I got into getting a lot of house music produced by ghost producers, which I now own, and I put it out as copyright-free music that people can use in their YouTube videos and stuff. But perhaps I'll do something like that again. I worked in radio my whole adult life, so it's weird not to be doing it. Yeah, it took a lot more time than we anticipated in the beginning. We started that podcast, and I was really just looking for the idea that I had Sunday afternoons free, and I thought that I would be able to do this thing, and it ended up not taking a couple of hours, but like 6 hours. So it took the whole Sunday to get done, and between that and trying to get together and coordinate, it was not able to stick around for the long term, but you never know. Thank you, Anthony. That's nice to hear. I enjoyed it, that's for sure, because we got to play music that we really liked and knew was about to be big. It's easy to find that, but thank you for saying that. Galito family, good to see you here, and It's Our Abundant Life, thank you for that super chat. I really do appreciate that. Happy New Year to you as well. Hopefully everybody's got a good start to their new year already. And then we could. So I started DJing again, actually, Anthony, and I'm off right now. But for a few months there, I was working at a place on Friday nights again, not playing house music at all, just regular top 40 stuff that I'm better known for. But that might return. So if it does, I'll let everybody know. I did stream one night of it, but if it comes back and becomes substantial, I'll start to do that again. Andy and pardon me, it might be Amoy and Git. if I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you for being here. Thank you everybody for coming in. I'm literally just here to walk, right? So every day I just walk for an hour, and for now we're on a treadmill. Maybe someday we'll get outdoors, but I live in Canada, so we're in our winter months, and more often than not there's either freezing cold or snow or ice or whatever. But this is a start. But you all are making it easier for me to, first of all, keep at it, but secondly, be motivated to show up tomorrow. So that's the idea, and I appreciate that from everyone. We've been on for about 36 minutes now. But yeah, hopefully everybody's got a good beginning to their new year already. I'm looking forward to getting back to work starting somewhat tonight, mostly tomorrow. But I'm hoping to start really picking things up here on YouTube. So if not right away within the next couple of weeks, I plan to start having weekly videos again. Mostly reviews, probably of tech more than anything else, but I've got a lot of stuff that's been sitting around here meant to be reviewed for a long time. So I'll start with those and get into some sponsored stuff and things like that afterwards. But I'll try to keep this up as well. Haha, thank you, Gloria's Platter. Over the coming weeks, hopefully we'll step things up on the treadmill. I'll get up to a better speed that will actually be accomplishing more, but you can see I'm still breaking a sweat at 2.3 miles an hour. So again, the goal is not to be healthy next week, next month, but next year to be much better than things are now. And it's a lot preventative as well, right? Trying to stop some of the things that could come. I'm relatively healthy now anyway, so I'm very lucky in that way. And for most of you, I'm older than you think I am, I promise you that. But you got to start someday, and I've been dragging my behind for a long time about it. And I tend to sit, right? So my happy place is being at a desk with 3 computer screens and things like that. And I'm sure it sounds ridiculous to some of you to hear that, but that's the truth. So I sit so much, literally 12 to almost 16 hours a day sometimes, especially in the winter. So any kind of exercise will help, and within the next few months, in the spring at some point, I plan to change to standing desks. So we'll see. Yeah, absolutely, Anthony. On this stream or this channel, these streams are meant to go unlisted, but I will leave them in a playlist that anybody could access if you wanted to, that'll have the whole series, right? So unless there's something I have to get rid of, hopefully that won't happen, but we'll keep them up. But we're just here to talk about anything at all. Anything at all that won't get the stream or the channel shut down. But yeah, I'm happy to talk about anything. Of course, I miss the radio days. You know, that was a big part of my life for probably 25 years. And I was here in Toronto working first at Z103 and eventually at Virgin Radio for a while, and Kiss 92 occasionally as well. The current state of radio. So I do have a story for that. And thank you, Hilda DC, for being here. So when I first moved to Niagara Falls, I'd been out of radio for a short period, right? A couple years. And I walked into the radio station here, the one that plays pop music. It happens to be 103, but I walked in and I was like, hey, guess what? I'm Kevin Kaye from Toronto and I'm ready to work. And the guy kind of laughed. My resume's spectacular, but he said, we just don't have anything for you, man. It is not the same here as what you grew up with. Joy, blessed life. Good to see you here, Shizer. Good to see you in the house. So the guy explained to me that when I had started in radio, which was in 1994, that back then you would have a program director and an assistant program director, both not on the air. The people on the air are called announcers. You'd have a music director and an assistant music director, both not on the air. You'd have a handful of DJs, of which I was one, and some producers and other departments. But now, one guy does that job for 5 radio stations. The job of 5 or 6 or 7 people. And that's because of the computer systems and things like that. One group of radio stations can share a cloud-based music service or music server and draw all their music from the same place. So you can imagine a lot of it's automated. You'll notice when you listen to the radio after midnight, most stations don't even have an announcer. They're not even paying somebody anywhere from minimum wage up to be there because they don't see the point, right? So it's much different than it was. And I was very, very, very lucky because at the time that I started with that station, Z103 in Toronto, there was no other FM radio station playing that kind of music, which is really a top 40 but dance upbeat mix at the time. We had another station called Energy 108 that was around for a little while, and the 2 stations were owned by one company and they split afterwards, right at the time that I got there. So FM radio in Toronto, we didn't have Virgin Radio, we didn't have Kiss 92, we didn't have a lot of the stuff that's there now. Chum FM is something that's always been there, but they've played a more contemporary mix of music from anything from the 70s up to the 90s and beyond, right? And they're still there to this day. Now they're a little more progressive with the pop, but if you listen to FM radio in Toronto now, we've got at least 4 stations that are playing Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande, and Pitbull repeatedly. We have Z103, Kiss 92, Virgin. I worked at all of those, and Chum FM. So it's a different world for sure. Exactly. Yeah, Anthony, it makes sense. Makes sense what you say. So I can tell you right now, when I was working in radio, when I was working for the station, my job at Z103 was to be a commercial producer. So when you hear commercials on the air, I was the one who made those, right? And that went on for 8 years on and off. I quit that station 4 times and got fired once, not in that order. And I never made a substantial amount of money at the job itself. But the idea is that then, because I'm a DJ, I can go out on Friday and Saturday night and make 5 times what an average DJ makes because I'm Kevin Kaye from Z103 or Kiss 92 or whatever it is, right? That's what made that job worth it. So it's kind of it's not a double-edged sword, but whatever would be the opposite of that, right? The nightclubs make the money better, but the job makes the nightclubs better, or something like that anyway. But you get what I mean? And then the hillbilly, oh, sorry, I can't read the chat very well. The Gathering Within's in the house, and Good Times Homestead with Jen and Steve is here. Thank you both for coming in. The future of radio. Anthony, I've been out of it for longer than it seems. So it's been about 10 years for me. And my guess is that it's going to become more automated. But the way that I think that radio companies can do a good job now is that they have to move into more special event-based stuff. So, you know, Howard Stern dominated for a long time. And a while back, the television stations got together and they said that they see that all the big growth in the next long while is going to be in live. So a couple of them teamed up and they broadcast now things like the NHL, the Raptors, and stuff like that. Radio can produce content that they can then sell to other radio stations, which has been done for 30 or 40 or 50 years already. But you can, or move into live things. Like, for anybody that's ever heard these stations I'm talking about in Toronto, or there's similar stations in every major city, you might have a DJ mixing music live. And I don't mean mixing like all stations mix music, I mean blending. So one song blends into the next, blends into the next, and it almost sounds like what you'd hear on a dance floor in any bar or nightclub. Z103 in Toronto does that 3 times a day now. So that gives them a bit of an edge, because if you want to hear that DJ play that mix of music, you can only hear it there, and the first way to hear it is now. Much like watching a sporting event like NHL. If you don't see it now, you might not want to see it. I know people used to record games and things like that, but if you don't see an event live or hear an event live, you're probably going to catch a tweet that somebody else put out about it, and spoiler alerts, right? But that's the thing, Anthony. You know, people, the world changes constantly, and the people who are predicting the future who end up being right are usually looked at as crazy at the time, right? That's why Steve Jobs' speech will start with, "Here's to the crazy ones." You always see things happen and somebody's yelling afterwards, "I told you, I told you, I told you." But they didn't want to hear it at the time, and it's too late, right? You'll notice that a lot of the things in Toronto have not progressed. You know, some of the stations still have announcers on there that have been there since I was a young lad. And I think that that's detrimental as well, because having a bigger mix of talent over a long period of time, meaning decades, I think would have expanded the reach and loyalty from the audience for the stations. But you know, when you listen and you're like, oh, that guy's still there, or she's still there. One of the biggest mistakes that they have made, in my opinion, is that, you know, you'll hear an advertisement for a bar, a nightclub, or a special event, and they'll be like, you know, you got to come out. Tonight's going to be the biggest night in Toronto at the best nightclub. And then you'll hear an ad for the next night. So, you know instinctively, if you don't go on Friday, you could just go on Saturday. And if you don't make it on Saturday, it doesn't matter. They'll be there next week. So there's no urgency, right? And in this case, usually I say, I'm not saying I'm right, but in this case, I was there a long time. I know what it's like to run events and have nobody show up, but I also know what it's like to run events and start a riot in the street more than once. So whether or not ultimately I would be right, we'll never know. And I'm long gone. I won't go back there now. The idea of maybe doing a podcast or something I can control, sure, but I don't. I'd rather use a pickaxe and a shovel outdoors and do horrible work that I wouldn't wish on anybody than go back to that. Because it's not high paying either. There's no radio station that I can walk into, even with my resume today, because I've been out of the game for a few years, that they're going to say, oh, we're going to pay you $100,000 a year to come and work. I can't imagine that happening. Even if they did, I would debate still whether to go, because you're trading time, right, if nothing else. And then, yeah, Michael's Adventures, that's somebody who's a hard worker, for sure. Over the next few months, I'm hoping to move the times around of the streams, especially on the other channel, but we all have to do what we have to do, right? So today, you'll notice I'm on very late. So I didn't get up and all that. I said, I don't care how long I sleep today, because it's my last day of rest. And for those of you keeping score, In the last 5 years on YouTube, you don't hear me talk about taking 2 weeks for vacation or 3 weeks for vacation or even a week for vacation, because I don't. So, not that there's anything wrong with it, but it just means that if I do have a day like this, then I better take advantage of it, because tomorrow is back to the grind, which I enjoy and love and wouldn't really have it any other way anyway. But we all have to do what we have to do. So while I expect to move the times of the streams around a little bit, I'm probably going to place most of them where the analytics tell me is going to be best suited for the largest audience. So you know that it's becoming overwhelming over there, but I'm working on ideas to try to help that too. Radios like live talk podcasts too, that's possible. Yeah, you could. Like, I mean, even here, there's a lot of podcasts that use YouTube as their platform, and then they just post replay to all the podcasting sites and Spotify and everywhere else. The wide ones are the crazy ones. Either that or the other way around. I haven't figured out whether I'm crazy yet or not. HK57, good to see you here. Thank you for coming in. HK57 is another longtime friend. He's come over from Jeff's channels. It's good to see you here. And thank you again, everybody, for being here, because you are making it easier for me to stay at it, and especially keeping motivated to show up the next day, right? It's the whole reason I'm here. I'd rather not miss the stream than even the walk, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it takes. It's like I was talking about this weekend, to the idea of having a multivitamin, right? My doctor asked me 6 months ago, he's like, "You take a vitamin?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he looked at me like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, for years I just do," right? And it doesn't matter whether it actually makes a person feel better or not. It could be the placebo effect making me think that I feel better on the days that I take the vitamin, but it doesn't matter. I don't care whether it's one or the other. I take it anyway, and I insist that I feel better. So, you know, some things in life are like that, where it doesn't matter whether it works or not. It doesn't matter if you can scientifically prove to me that it doesn't work. It makes me feel the way I think I feel, so whatever, right? Yes, so it can be, Anthony. Now, I'm not going to do it because I don't think it's worth it for me to start from scratch doing that right now when I've been out of the game. However, there's no reason why somebody couldn't make a podcast and, let's say, mix music in the way that DJs mix music. And I mean blending, right? Which brings a new aspect to the sound of the music and the flow of the show. But somebody could make one, not host it, like, so produce the files without voice, and then offer the opportunity for that mix of music to be used in many different ways, whether it's on radio or in a podcast, or simply as an upload, or you could even throw video behind it, right? That's an idea. Nightclubs and bars are always going to face the idea that staff may not show up for any multitude of reasons. So if somebody made a service, which I thought about doing many times, where you have, back in the day it would have been CDs, but you can work your way around that now, but music for if there was an emergency and the DJ couldn't show up. The problem with that, or if something happened in the night and God forbid the DJ had to stop working, you would still be able to hold the place together for the day with a pre-set mix of music. Whether that's a good idea or not, most often I can't tell in advance the difference between the good ideas or the bad ideas. But most of what I've done over my adult life has worked most of the time. So somebody could make a better idea out of the thought than I have, but it could be possible. So repurposing or repackaging a podcast, absolutely. There's lots of different ways to get that done. Clothing stores need music, shopping malls need music, special events need music, even music festivals need somebody to start the music before the DJs go on. Lots of different ways. But again, because I've been out of the game, it doesn't make it worth it for me to start that project right now from scratch when I have a full plate. But one could. I got a couple other supplements I'm supposed to take. One of them was causing extreme pain, and I don't know which one it was, so I have to deduce that by taking different things, but I've been off them for a while for that reason. We'll see what happens this week. Live streams need music. Yes, you're right, Shizer. I got another channel now where I've bought a bunch of music, which I now own, that was ghost produced. It's all house music, but all of the Tuber Chat people can use it, or anybody can use it as copyright free music in videos and live streams. Whether I'll do much more with that or not, I don't know. The channel's moved a lot slower than I predicted in the beginning. But again, this goes back to the idea that not every idea is a good idea. I certainly don't think I'm right all the time. But most of what I do works most of the time. And then when you find a winner, you just want to jump on top of that and make it go stronger or faster. That's why now I say I'm going to double down on YouTube this year instead of working on something outside, because it's easier to make this go faster than it is to start from zero with something else for now. But we'll see. We'll see what the year brings. And, on that note, I wish everybody success. I hope that 2023 brings you everything you wish for. I know that's different for everybody. Yes, good times Homestead mixtapes. Exactly. Like, so for instance, when Anthony was talking earlier in the stream mentioning a podcast that I did called Beatropolis, you can find most of those mixes on my channel here. And I just put some imagery on them so I could post them, right? They're all full of copyright stuff and all this. But I can now take those mixes without the voices on them and play them at the beginning of the night or the end of the night in a nightclub if I wanted to, therefore making the job easier. One could do a podcast of any style of music that was blended in any way at all, and then use that mix of music, or mixtape if you want to call it that, to play in any other circumstance, like whether it's a event like a wedding or a festival or a party or a nightclub or a bar, or even on the radio, or as another podcast. There's companies that have already been doing this for years. Yeah, Anthony, it makes sense that they probably will. So an idea for everybody this year is, if you're producing regular long form content, so in Gloria's Platter's case, cooking videos, in Good Times Homestead with Jen and Steve, a lot of homesteading or how-to videos in the case of Scratch and PPA lottery ticket scratching. What you could do, if you have the ability, is either while you're filming, frame it so that you're way far out, so that you can get a vertical cut out of the video you're already making, or set up two cameras at once. And they have rigs for that. Ulanzi makes things like that, for those of you who know that company, but there's a lot of them out there. And then you could film twice at the same time. So I'm going to try to do that with my vinyl record videos to show you what I mean. So hopefully I'll film one this week and I'll cut 3 shorts out of it, 3 or 4 shorts, so that I can really maximize the value out of the time spent, right? And I'll put those up on TikTok and Instagram and everywhere else. Okay, I'm going to slow this thing down. We've been on for an hour. We're on this thing for an hour. So thank you, everybody. Coastal Water, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. I can't do anything about that. I can't believe how much of a sweat I break doing barely anything on this treadmill. It's okay. It'll get better over time. I'm just reading the last couple of comments in the chat here. 500 shorts, glorious platter. I didn't realize it was that much. My goodness. That's excellent, Joy Blessed Life. Almost anybody should be able, especially if you're doing stuff where you're not on the camera. If you're going to be on the camera, you might have to plan the video before you start filming it. And like I said, be far away like this so that you could see yourself cutting a short out of it. Or if you can plan early, or if you're not in the video, it's very easy to cut shorts out of things, especially when you're outdoors and have interesting things for people to see, right? Oh my goodness. And then thank you, Shizer. So thank you, everybody, for the time spent today. Like I keep saying, you know, you make it easier to keep at it and easier to show up tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow, more so for the stream than I am even for the treadmill, of course. But thank you, everybody, again for this time. And I'll look forward to what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So thanks, everyone. And again, Happy New Year. I hope your year is off to a great start. Bye-bye.